And hello, everyone. How are you doing? It's Dave Bondy. We're keeping it real. Today is July 6th. Thank you for everyone joining me on my locals channel. I really appreciate all of you being here. And in the last week, we've had so many more people sign up. I really appreciate all of you. And if you would like to be a paid supporter, all you have to do is click. There should be a button somewhere that says to become a paid supporter. If you're not a paid supporter, you won't be able to watch this entire show in its entirety. And today is going to be a very special show. It's something that needs to be talked about every single day. Mental health in this country. You hear politicians talk about, this and that. And they talk about mental health, but they don't talk about it the way they should, or they don't put the money towards it. And I'm going to have some examples of that in just a little bit. But I found someone, one of my followers on social media, who knows exactly what the trouble has been over the past couple of years. And it seems like everyone's had issues with mental health. But Sadie is her name. She's from Michigan. She lives in mid-Michigan. We'll put it at that. And for those of you who are watching, you're going to want to hear her story because it will resonate with all of you probably. And I'm going to share some things, too, that I've never shared before about my mental health and how things are going. Someone in the comment, there's not enough jobs in the mainstream media for all the mental health issues. No, there's not. So I'm going to bring her on screen right now. Where are we here? Add to stream. Okay, there we go. Sadie, hello.
Hi.
Okay. So how did I find you? Were you kind of through social media, Facebook, locals, whatever?
Yeah, I had been following you for a while before you left the big news and stuff. Already had followed you there, and then when you left, I continued following you.
Cool. So you just turned 21.
I did.
So during COVID, let me think. Is it 2019? You weren't in high school.
Yes, I was. I was the first year to graduate during the pandemic.
Wow. Did you even have a graduation ceremony?
I did. It was in the parking lot of my high school a couple months after we were actually supposed to graduate.
Well, at least you had one, I guess.
Yeah.
So I talk a lot about mental health, and like I told you, I did a story a couple weeks ago about a family that's gone bankrupt because they're trying to get their sons mental health help. They're like 12 and 13 years old, and they're having to go outside of the state of Michigan for health. Let me ask you, is that the most important issue people need to be focusing on? You can be honest, but I think I'm giving my opinion now that I'm outside of television. I think that might be our number one issue in this country.
Is mental health?
Yeah.
It is. And the sad fact is that, and I don't want to say that all the crimes and stuff being committed are associated with mental health at all, but I do want to say that some things can be prevented if mental health was taken more seriously and if there was more support surrounding mental health and mental illness. Because a lot of the times when a crime is committed or somebody does something, it is found that, oh, hey, they have a history of mental health, or, oh, hey, they went to the hospital for mental health, and, they dig deeper and nobody helped them.
One example, when I was covering the news, the Oxford High School shooting, the kid who did it, because I think he admitted it in court, that kid was so messed up from the very beginning, and it was him. He did it, but he was crying out for help for years, and he never got it. His parents did not give a blank about him. So right. That's a perfect example. I'm not excusing what he did.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
And what you just said is that there's usually signs that people need help, right?
Yes, and there's always signs, and the thing is that they might not be obvious. The signs can be very little, and they can be gradual over time. The thing is that somebody might not speak out for help, And that can be due to the stigma that surrounds mental health and mental illness, the bullying that goes on. And parents need to watch out for their children and the little signs, the little things that they notice. Friends and family watch out for each other. You have to watch for certain signs. And there's nothing specific that I can say to watch out for. It's just, you know who that person is to watch out for if they start acting differently.
What was your experience? I mean, were you I think we all had issues during
Mhm.
COVID. Like I told you, I was almost on the air on television and having panic attacks just because I was just freaking out about so much different stuff. What Sadie is her name. Someone on my chat was asking your name, and I'm just said there's, oh, it should say it on the screen. Actually, it should say your name right there. Look at the screen, people. I'm joking. um so what was your situation? Tell me your story about how things got worse, or tell me why you wanted to speak out.
So basically, I have kind of struggled with mental health my whole life and never really completely understood why. And I guess basically to explain that is sometimes there's not a reason. You could feel like sad, like you could feel depressed and not really have a reason. And that's just the chemicals in our brain and the pathways in our brain. And sometimes they're not wired the way they should be. So I was struggling with the fact that I was feeling certain ways and I was getting so angry that I couldn't understand why. And when people would ask what's wrong, I couldn't tell them why. And I couldn't tell them what was wrong with me. So that was the main thing I was struggling with. And as time went on, um, I wasn't reaching out for help. And then when I wasn't reaching out in the right ways. So kind of like when a child is throwing a temper tantrum, they need something, but they're not reaching out in the right way. So it was kind of like that. Obviously, I wasn't throwing a temper tantrum, but it was like that. And then COVID hit. And obviously, with having consisting like mental health issues, it did worse. And I was supposed to graduate in 2020, which I did, but everything got switched to online, and it was so chaotic. I don't even know how to explain it. It was one day we were in those halls of that high school, and the next day we were at home at a desk with a computer and told we were coming back in a week, told we were coming back in 2 weeks, and we never went back.
What did that do? I think we were all told 15 days, we're going to be back, we're going to be back at it. I was 45 years old at the time, and I'm like, cool. And then I'm like, oh, I'm disappointed. What did that do for you? But also people your age at the time in high school, they're probably like, what's going on?
It set up false hope a lot of the time when they were telling us that. And so we would get our hopes up, but um not only were we told that we were going to go back, um once we weren't allowed to go back, everything was taken from us. All of those things that we were supposed to do, our prom, our graduation, all of those senior events, all of those big milestones that we were supposed to do. And that was so emotionally just, it tore us down.
What did it do being, luckily, I mean, I was working in TV news, but I was still at home, and my children, it impacted them hard, but you couldn't, hang out with your friends all the time. There
Right.
was really no social life, right?
Yeah, and that's true. There was no really hanging out. I mean, we all have phones, we all have video chat, but it's not the same. And so after, a few weeks of video chatting your friends, you start to feel isolated and you start to feel like nobody's there for you. And you call your friend and they don't answer. Then you immediately get those thoughts going in your head of, oh, they hate me. Oh, what did I do? I did something wrong. And then it just keeps spinning. And that is when you can go into a down spiral. And that's never good.
Was there a point where I think everyone probably knew that? I mean, in the beginning, we didn't know a lot about anything. My wife and I, we were even cleaning off groceries when we were getting them at
Yeah.
home. But I think after a while, when we learned more, did the schools, did the governments, should they have acted differently? Because some schools, I know the Flint community schools, they went almost 2.5 years without class. Did some schools, should they have acted differently once they learned more?
Um Honestly, I think yes and no. I think there was so much uncertainty and so much just too much in the unknown for them to act in any certain particular way. And I just I can't exactly give a definite answer for that. I do think, however, that there should have been more support offered, because, like, we do have counselors there at school. Why weren't those counselors reaching out? Why weren't those support staff reaching out? And it was like you would send them an email and they weren't emailing back. Like, where, if we were still in school, what would you be doing right now?
Yeah, someone just asked in the live, was you're being honest and being here, and they wanted to know, was it issues from your like childhood or family issues, or was it building during COVID, and COVID just kind of blew all the stress up, kind of.
Um, it was a lot. It was issues from, I mean, because you got to think you have genetics, you have environmental, social. So it was pre, I can't even say it.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, there you go.
I've messed it up anchoring the news before. I've messed that up. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah, it was already there, but COVID did not help. I would say that for sure.
Um, yeah. So you really missed out on your senior year,
Yeah,
basically.
it was senior year.
Okay. And where are you now? Are you in a better place now? Have things gotten better?
I am in a so much better place now, which is why I am here doing this. I am actually, I I don't even know how to begin to explain. I'm in college full time,
Cool.
and I am studying to be an early educational educator. So I will be like, I'll probably just focus more so on like preschool and stuff like that, um, and which is actually what my job is now. So
There is a very big need for you because there's so many the teacher openings, especially if you're willing to stick around Michigan. There are so
right,
many openings now
yeah,
for that. Someone just wrote in the comments, lots of damage done in the pandemic. My battle was very difficult. My mom was in long-term care. She can't advocate for herself. So with the elderly, with the young, it was
yes,
that way. Do you have friends or family or other people that were going through the same thing you were, or difficult times?
yes. I did. I have a family friend who was going through the same things. I have a friend who was I met through tough times, and we went through it together. We struggled together, and we held each other accountable, and we held each other up. And that was really how I got through the pandemic.
Unfortunately, there were thousands who didn't, and they suicide. I mean, I think we hit a record number of suicides in the last couple years. What would you say to someone maybe who is at that point, or and you're not a therapist, or you're not a counselor, but what got you through it when in your darkest moment? Like, what was able to get you over the edge a little bit? What was it that kept you going?
You know, I had so many people sit and talk with me and tell me that there's still things to fight for and that people are here and they love you. And people can sit there and tell you that, but what one person sat and told me was that you need to learn to fight for yourself. You are here for a reason, and you need to start fighting for yourself because you are worth more than you know, and you are loved. And you need to start loving yourself, and you need to start fighting for yourself. And if you want help, ask and start speaking up for yourself because you're stronger than you know.
And you took that advice.
I did.
You did. And that's what people, so don't be afraid to speak up because honestly, my dad always told me, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Someone may seem like they're happy as can be, but behind the scenes, they could be the most just depressed as can be. You don't know.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen that as well. You probably have friends or others who put on a good show.
Yeah.
What mental health? I know this, like the state of Michigan has $5 billion in its budget and they're spending a lot on mental health, but how important is it to get like counselors, therapists, and to put money into literally helping people? Because to me, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, it doesn't seem like we're at that point yet.
You know, they're not. There's a high demand for therapists, social workers, and I don't know if it's just there aren't enough of them, which I know is true at times. But there's also times where, yeah, the money's not being spent where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And they're not, there's not programs that are actually there to help people, I guess you could say. And if I'm putting it a nice way.
Yeah, you are. And someone just wrote on the chat and they looked it up. 22 veterans commit suicide every day. And when we deal with things in this country, like you said, crime, it's easy to say, and I don't want to get political, but like the kid in Oxford High School, yes, the gun killed the kid killed the people, but it's more than just the gun. There's mental health. I think a lot of people like to make stuff to the extremes or political, but things aren't as easy as that. Sometimes it's mental health, it's a lot of different things. But like you said, on almost every tragic thing, it almost always comes down to they were suffering from mental illness.
Yeah.
And it's sad how many lives could be saved if you, like the person who talked to you, if you know the kid in Oxford, if he would have had someone younger in life to sit down and talk to him, would that event not have happened? So you're going to into early education. So you're going to be one of those people in the future. You know, you may have kids come to you. Are you looking forward to helping guide younger people?
Yeah, I am. I work with little ones now, and I can tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. People think that it's an easy job, you know, just playing with little ones all day long, and it's fun and it is very emotionally fulfilling. But knowing that these little minds are being shaped by my actions and my words is also a very huge responsibility.
Now that you're studying that, let me ask you, because I know at least in the city of Flint, nationwide, the pandemic really destroyed education. I have a 6-year old. For the younger people, they were still learning to read, they were learning to socialize. It set them back many years. I don't know if you're seeing that with children now you're dealing with, or because they probably would have been really young during the pandemic, but it seems like it hurt the younger kids really bad.
I work with the youngest of the young. So
Okay.
really when they come in, it is the first time they've ever been in school.
I
So
can't imagine what it was like, you know, being in kindergarten or something and then having to go home for the next year and a half. It would set you back. I can't imagine.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. And I'm scrolling Twitter right now and I'm looking, this is weird. There was a mass shooting in Philadelphia over the weekend And it, just as we're talking, I'm looking at this, and it says the suspect had extreme mental illness that had been reported by his family, but they didn't seek help.
Yeah.
Just as I see this just now. So what was your reason to want to come on and talk? It's very brave for you to come on and tell people things about yourself. Why do you want to do that?
I have been having a very specific person telling me that I need to start speaking out and speaking my mind and telling people a little bit of my story, because they believe that I can help others. And it feels like nobody talks about mental health. And I don't know if that's really just the stigma behind it or because it's just pushed on the back burner. But nobody's talking about it. And it upsets me.
Yeah, I think the more that people would talk about it, the more normal it becomes. I would like it to be as normal as when you break your arm, you go to the doctor and they fix your arm,
Yeah.
right? I mean, your brain is literally, it's an illness. It's the same thing. It's not,
Right.
but it is. I'm just looking at the comments right here. It's either 5 or 7. I don't know if I don't know what someone was saying. Yeah, so that gives you credit. And when you're going to school, I'm assuming you're teaching, but you're also kind of a psychologist in a way. I haven't been through school for teaching, but because you have to know how to deal with children, that's not going to
Yeah.
be easy.
No. And the funny thing is that before I was studying early childhood education, I was planning on becoming a social worker.
Wow.
So I studied social work specifically for actually from 2020 to about the end of last year, is when I switched my major. So that whole entire time I was taking psychology and social work classes. So, yeah.
Well, I think the more that people do talk, the difference it can make. I'm going to write on my question here if anyone have any questions for you. And you're brave to do this, and that's why I say more things now about, like, I tell people I was almost, had a panic attack on television, and there were stressful times, but I wouldn't tell anyone because they would think I'm strange or something. But we need to get over that.
Yeah.
Are we making progress, you think, a little bit?
Yes and no. Um, I mean, I just think that I don't know. I mean, you see in TV shows the stigma, and then you
Yeah.
see in real world the stigma. And it's just it's not okay to have stigma and to make jokes about mental health like that, because it's a real thing. And when people see that, and when people see the way that others are being talked to and treated and stuff, it's going to make them not want to speak out and ask for help. And if they're struggling really bad and that was their time to speak out and ask for help, you just shot them down.
Yeah.
So,
Someone wants to know, what would you do differently if another pandemic happened and we get locked down? I don't know. Is there anything you would do differently if this happened again?
um,
I hope not, but eventually there'll be another pandemic. Hopefully not in my life or your life.
you know, I would say, and I know that it sounds just so cliche, but self-care and having a regimen for myself. Because I know that personally for me, I just wanted to lay in bed all day. I didn't want to do anything. And that is so damaging for your mental health. And even with the pandemic, you can get out and walk when it's nice. You can walk your dog if you have a dog. You can ride a bike. And if you can't do stuff like that, if you're older, or, you can wash your face in the morning, just little things, little steps at a time to get you up and walking, get you out of bed, read a book, little things at a time, because the more you sit in your mind, the worse it is going to get for you, and the deeper you are going to get in your thoughts, and the more roaming thoughts you're going to have, and that's not going to end well for you.
Well, that is great advice that hopefully I don't have to deal with the pandemic anytime in any of our lifetimes. But I think
Yeah.
on a daily thing, that's good as well. Like when I get up in the morning, my mom make your bed, and I'm like, well, I don't want to make my bed, but it actually does make you feel a little accomplished when you make it. I don't make it good. I don't make my bed very good at all, that very well, but it makes you feel a little good. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much. And I'm going to put this out there on my locals and in a couple days on YouTube. And you may not know it, but I think you may inspire someone to get help. You may inspire someone to make a change. So I hope you are, proud of that. And I'm thankful that you're here.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Stay cool. It's still hot outside.
All right. Have a good day.
Okay. Bye. Wow. There you go, everyone. Yeah, an amazing person. I just wanted to spend the time talking to her about mental health and what we went through during the pandemic. We always hear about it, but that was an example right there of a young lady. She's 21 right now. She was 18, 19 during the pandemic. She lost out on her last year of high school. She missed out on everything. I wasn't going to ask her the one question about the transgenderism because that really wasn't where I was going with this. That will be another show that I'm doing. But what are your solutions? Do you have solutions to the mental health crisis in this country? For all of you who are watching right now, what would you like to see changed? A lot of people would say stop it with the billions of dollars going to Ukraine or other countries. And how about you spend the money locally here in the United States? So I want to know what all of you think. What can we do to fix the mental health crisis in this country? And if there's anyone watching right now that would like to join me live, I'd be happy to have you. If let me know if you want to join me live. I can give you a link and you can join in live on the conversation. But I wanted to take the time to talk to this woman, Sadie, because she's a statistic. She's one of the young ones who had to deal with COVID, being locked down during the pandemic, and she doesn't really blame the schools or the government. She said they really didn't know what they were doing. But I do know there are a lot of people who are blaming the government and are blaming the schools. And I'm one of them. I am blaming the schools, the government officials. The CDC was hand in hand with the uh, school unions, and I don't think it benefited the children whatsoever. So now that I don't work in TV news, I can say that. Teachers unions, yes. Now there's amazing teachers out there. There's great teachers. But the top of the unions, there are some horrible people. And I'm talking about Randy Weingarten, the head of the teachers union. They were colluding with the CDC to keep schools closed. That's a fact. So I just wanted to bring that up and get your opinion on this. Hello, Felis. Well, how you doing? Thanks for watching. Is there anyone watching right now who is brand new? Anyone who has never watched before? Type the word yes in the screen. Type the word yes in the screen if you have not watched before. Style instance. Style instance. That's it. There you go. Give them a safe haven, a place to diffuse a no judgment zone. These rooms need to be everywhere in every city. Ms. Lori. Hello, Miss Lori. How are you doing? I hope all of you like being subscribers. You are an old timer. I hope all of you are happy and with what I'm doing. But I just wanted to focus on mental health on this show, on mental health. I'm going to bring up a story right here on the screen. It may surprise you. It may make you upset, but I'm going to bring it up here and show you. Let me share my screen here and take a look because you are not going to be happy with what I have to show you is happening Take a look right there. The Detroit, Michigan School District, they spent $196 million of their cash on teachers. How much did they spend on mental health for the children? $34 million. The district got $1.2 billion. The Detroit School District got $1.2 billion. $34 million was spent on mental health. What do you think about that? Is that right? Someone just said you rolled your eyes. The Detroit schools spend $196 million on teachers, which is fine. Teachers deserve most teachers are amazing. But $34 million on student mental health when the district got $1.2 billion. Come on. Really? That's just not appropriate. So, thank you everyone for joining. Any other things you want to talk about? I did want to bring up something about that the media is going around saying that is necessarily not true over the last few days. And they are saying that the 4th of July was the hottest day, one of the hottest days in 125,000 years. You may have heard that on the media. And the media tells you like it's real. Well, guess what? It's not. It's not a fact. It's not a fact. Let me bring up some statistics here, some information. I'm going to be doing an interview on this shortly. But taking a look, I don't even know if you can see this chart or not. The Washington Post claiming that Monday was the hottest day in the history of the Earth. Well, this guy right here who knows his stuff, the claim that July 3rd and 4th were the hottest days in at least 125,000 years are based on biased computer model guesswork and incomplete satellite data. Was there satellites 125,000 years ago? No. This ignores the medieval optimum of 1,000 years ago. So, just another thing of how the media is trying to shape a certain narrative to get you scared. Global warming, climate change, it's happening. But it's not doing what these people are saying. Plymouth Rock from 1620 is still not underwater. Go see it. Exactly. You're absolutely right. I am going to be calling out the media more and more because what I am seeing in newsrooms across this country is bias. The media is trying to manipulate you to believe certain things. And I'm fed up with it. And I'm going to call them out. I don't give a shit anymore. So sorry for swearing, but I'm just being real about what's happening. And I am not going to try to act like it's not happening when it is. And that's why I need more people to sign up to my locals, because people need to hear the truth. They do. And that's what I want to give all of you, the information. Okay? I really appreciate all of you for joining us. Before I let you go, hello, little Rosie. How are you doing? Al Gore said New York City would be under a few centimeters underwater at high tide by 2013. Well, we all know about that. Al Gore, he invented the internet, didn't he? Style stance. Thank you very much, everyone. And I really appreciate all of you who have been sharing out my content, because my job is to try to make things real. And like I said, I believe in God, family, and country. Nothing wrong with that. Any of you have any questions before I let you go? This is about all of you. You are paid supporters. Right now, all of you watching, you are paid supporters. I work for all of you. Do any of you have any questions that you would like me to answer? Joe says they always try to find something to scare us. Ebola, SARS, I guess they found it with transgenderism and global climate change. They're trying every time. They're trying to get the narratives to see what'll stick and what'll scare people. What do you think will become of the cocaine found at the White House? Nothing. I think the White House has proven that they're trying to cover this up, that they're lying. Just today, thank you, Ms. Lori. Just today, it came out. Today, the White House is saying that the cocaine was near the Situation Room. Yesterday, they said it was where visitors put their belongings. The day before that, they said it was in the executive library. Well, where was it? Pick one. Okay? And the media is taking their word for it. A journalist should never, ever take the government's word on anything. A journalist should always question the government. Okay? That's what they should do. And it's not happening. Yeah, I saw the video of Hunter on the balcony. Some people were trying to blame Trump for the cocaine. Yeah, that was ridiculous. You know, and if this happened when Trump was president, I would be reporting on it as well. It's not a matter of Democrat, Republican. It's a matter of how the hell did cocaine get into the White House? You know, I've covered many events where the president has been. I've covered at least 3 presidents, and you cannot get within a mile of him without going through some sort of security. So this had to have been a family member, or it's someone who works in the White House, who has, especially since they're saying now it was near the Situation Room. Only very important people with high privileges are allowed in that area. Okay, any more questions before I let you go, everyone? Any more questions? I hope you enjoyed tonight's show. I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you're okay with me having a guest like I had tonight. Really just to get honest and just to open up and talk about, you know, what happened during the pandemic. She may seem like an average person, but she's real. Not like the fake crap you see on reality TV. I'm glad you enjoy Ms. Lori. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, Joanne. I really appreciate it. I am putting a link at the bottom of the screen right now. There's a link I'm putting at the bottom of the screen. For those of you who like my content, if you like my show, go ahead and copy that link. Go ahead on that link, hover over it, and then copy it and post it on your social media and ask your friends to join, because I want more people to know the realness about stuff. I want people to know what the media is doing to everyone. So I urge all of you to get your friends, send them that link in a message, post that link on your Facebook or Twitter or whatever you do. Because if I get enough supporters, I'm going to do a show every day. I'm going to expand this even more. Okay. I'm going to end this in 1 more minute. If I don't have any other questions, I will let you go in 1 minute. Once again, thank you everyone for joining. And I think together we are on a mission for common sense. We are on a mission to cut through the BS, to cut through the extremes, the extreme on the left, the extreme on the right. They're both extremes. And I think we just need to cut through it and just give you the information and let you decide. I really appreciate everyone joining us. Thank you very much. I will see you on Sunday at 7 p.m. Set a reminder, 7 p.m. on Sunday. I will be back for my local show at 7 o'clock. We are talking with a child psychologist. I have her booked on the show, and she is ready to go. We are going to be talking about, once again, the pandemic and the mental health crisis. If you have children, you need to be watching. 7 o'clock on Sunday. you're going to learn some things about what caused all of this damage and how the government was responsible for some of it and how it can be fixed. That is, if the government wants to fix it. But you should not rely on the government for fixing any of your problems. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm going to let you go. Prayers. Amen to everyone.